Hey everybody, Lisa Hendrickson here with Call That Girl, and welcome to the Call That Girl's Office 365 courses. This is course number 2, and today we're going to be covering Office 365 Setup Part 1. There was only going to be one course, but then after we got thinking about it, we decided to split it up into 2 parts because Tim from our first course in Teams kind of said he does a lot more on the back end of setting it up, and we decided to leave that for him in Part 2. So before Tim does that, we are going to welcome Adam Carpenter here today to do course number 2. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you.
Why don't you take a minute and tell us a little about yourself and how you got connected into all this world with me?
Sure. So I'm Adam with IT Professionals of Iowa. We've been in business for 7 years now. We mainly focus on small business support, managed services. We do break fix as well. And I've been following Lisa for a few years now on TechNibble. That's where it really all started, with the books and the SEO and things like that. And Lisa decided that she didn't really want to do Office 365 migrations anymore. She just wanted to focus on the Outlook and the aftercare and things like that. And so she had contacted me, and I said, yeah, absolutely, we'll do the migrations. And so that relationship's been going real well. We've done quite a few of them now. And then Lisa approached me with doing some classes.
Well, yeah, because I think some of the work you do has been, part of the migration work that Adam and I worked out is super important for smaller businesses that don't want to get into learning migration work. So this is why I have him on here, because he's actually doing this work and he's really familiar with the setup and the little problems that can happen. Adam's also going to be doing the course, the Microsoft Exchange migration course, which we're going to cover 3 parts. One is manual migration, one is Migration Wiz, which they're also a sponsor of the show, and just a little bit about the GoDaddy cutoff migrations, because we've learned a few lessons with those.
Yeah.
And, so if you are a small business and just want someone to help do the migration work only and kind of parallel your business to what I'm doing, Adam can step in and do, how many mailboxes do you typically do?
We'll usually do up to about 20.
Right. If you got more than 20, then we've got other people I want to introduce you to that can help step in and help do it or coach or whatever you need. There are, you can do thousands of mailboxes, and each migration level has a different technical need. So that's why I brought in all these trainers to kind of, have different levels of opportunity for everybody to learn from. The word hybrid, I don't do that at all. Federation, don't do that. Nope. Yeah. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors, AppRiver, for sponsoring the courses. And if you are new to Office 365 or you're looking for a secondary partner, be sure to go to the notes at the bottom of the courses here, and you can click on the sign-up page, or you can email Steve Harris, sharris@appriver.com. And they will walk you through, or he will walk you through the reseller plans and partner plans, and just get on board and have them as a resource is what Adam and I both do, and we work well as small businesses with a partner. All right, Adam, so why don't you go ahead and take the show on the road here.
All
Show
right.
us what you do, and I'll step in with things I do, and a lot of things you probably do a lot of different things than I do, so
Sure.
it'd be good to learn from you too.
Yeah. So the first thing, when you get started with Office 365, whether it be through a partner or Office 365, you're going to have a domain. So usually the client will already have a domain. So you give that to your provider or Office 365. What they'll do is they'll give you a login for your Office 365 portal. So you go to portal.office.com, sign in with your account and your temporary password. And I have that already, so I'll go ahead and show that here.
And before you show all this, in the next course that you do, we're going to go through the full setup with the DNS and everything. And there's some things you do before that. Put the sale in,
right,
and get all the information from people. Chase the registration page, DNS.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So we'll go through all of that in some different videos, but right now this is just basically setting up users at this point.
Sure. Yeah, this is just basics.
Yep.
This is great for people that haven't seen the Office 365 setup yet, and for those that are doing it and you're just watching along, just you might learn a nugget or two.
Sure. So when you first sign in, if you're an admin and you do not have an Office 365 license, this is what it looks like. So at the top it says assign products because I don't have a license. So if you do have a license, you'll have the install Office apps here. That's where your users would go and install Office 365 with all the products. So mainly for us, we want to go to admin, which is available here, or you can go up to the top left and you'll have admin as well. Now on both of these pages here, if you have a license, you'll have many more apps. Again, we don't because we're just an admin, so we'll go here. And then once that comes
By the way,
up,
that changes about every 2 months. How that looks.
I have several clients in with different portals. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of.
Right.
So on the left-hand side, you have your menu here. So when you get started, you'll have your 2 domains. So you go to Setup, Domains. Kids.
It's okay. That's cute.
So anyway.
You remind me of a typical working dad.
Yep, working home office. All right, so you'll always have a tenant account or tenant domain, which is this .onmicrosoft.com. For the most part, you won't do much with that unless you're doing the GoDaddy Office 365 cutover migration. That'll be a big part that we'll talk about later in the series. So this other one, this is our actual domain that we have set up. And again, we'll go into much more depth on this later, but here's all of the DNS records that you'll need to put into your DNS control panel down the road. For this point, we've already done that. So we're going to go over to users, and then we're going to go to active users. And then you can see we have a demo account, which has a license already, and then there's also an unlicensed account here. So if we go into demo, for example, you can see the user, the email account, aliases, all of those things. And so you can have multiple domains on the same account. So by default, you're going to have the 2. You'll have the onmicrosoft.com, and then you'll have your other domain. But I certainly have clients that have many domains in the same account. And so you can add aliases here, whatever you need. And then you can change your primary. So when you do the GoDaddy cutover, your primary has to be the OnMicrosoft. And then when you're done, because you can't use your actual domain in 2 places at the same time, you'll have to switch it to your regular domain instead of as primary later.
And just stop right there. I've actually been hired by people to fix that because they've been using the OnMicrosoft for a year.
Yep.
And emailing that to clients.
Yep.
They didn't know how to do the migration switch.
Sure.
But you might find that too.
Yep. And so product licenses will show all the licenses you have available. So Business Premium is the one that we use mostly for most of our clients. And then it has a bunch of features you can turn off individually for that license as well. You can also, I'll show you in a minute, you can set up users without licenses. So under Office installs, you can see how many, so we don't have this account set up on any devices, but this is where you would see how many devices this user has Office installed on. And then you can deactivate devices from here as well. Roles is a good one, especially if you have an office, like one of our clients has 20 users, and so we have customized administrator roles set up for multiple users there. So what that'll do is pretty straightforward. You know, you can give access to billing for one person, or we have a couple people at that office that have password administrator. They don't have to call me to reset passwords. They just go in and reset them for their own users, and so on. Pretty much the same thing for all of those.
Yeah. That's kind of a new one I saw one day pop in.
Yeah.
For those that saw the first video, look at the group memberships right there. That beta testers is our team that we made.
Sure.
So that's if we haven't dug into that part yet. Tim can handle that, but that's the group we made in our first course.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. And then contact information, you can really fill out quite a bit of info here about the user, first name, last name, display name. And this actually flows throughout the Office 365 products, you know, job title, phone, all of that good stuff.
Fills up the gal.
Yep, yep. The global address list. And then mail settings, you can set up forwarding, specific permissions, auto replies. We don't typically use much in here. If we're doing replies and things like that, we'll normally do it from Outlook. And then you also have your OneDrive settings here. So you can set quotas, you can set whether people can share just within your domain or your organization or externally as well.
Ooh, that sign out one, have you ever seen that one?
I have not.
Well, this sign out I just found out, and here's the thing, you guys, is that you could look at something 20 million times and then all of a sudden something new is there and somebody on Facebook has to tell you it's there because you don't pay attention or it's brand new. The sign out feature I learned is if you have to terminate somebody, you can come in here and terminate, and it should close out all the sessions on every device. Yeah,
I see it says up to 15 minutes. That's faster than like if you just go in and change their password. Yep, because that can take a long time.
So that's not new, but it looks like it. But the thing is, why is it under OneDrive?
Right.
But found that out. That was a while ago I found that out.
Interesting. So we could...
Hey, hold on. Go back to that, click in there again.
Yeah.
Very bottom there, manage multi-factor. We're going to cover that in another video too.
Sure.
You set up the two-step and multi-factor authentication.
Yep.
We'll do that in another vid.
All right.
All right.
We could sign into this demo account so people can see what it looks like with all the apps as well.
Yeah, I don't think I gave it global rights.
Okay, give me a second here. Sign in, and then I'll bring it back over. And you cannot be signed into 2 accounts at once unless you use incognito.
And I found incognito is really not that secure. Still keeps your stuff.
Yeah, nothing's as secure as we want it to be.
Ooh, this might be a good time while you're doing that to alert people of the Microsoft 365 confusion that's going to be coming.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, it's coming.
Yeah, I don't know who thought it was a good idea to come up with a product called Office 365 and then another product called Microsoft 365.
They should have called it Windows 365. I mean,
yep.
Lord, give us a chance to keep it. I love it. My next client's going to call in and say, yeah, I can't log into my Windows, but then I changed my password on my phone for my Exchange account. And I'll be like, mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, so the biggest difference that I've seen there is Office 365 is all of your Office apps like you would expect. And there's different packages. You can add email and a lot of other things as well there. The Microsoft 365 adds on the Windows 10 license, Pro, and I believe Enterprise too, depending on what package you have there. So this is what a standard user, when they log in, would see. So you can see that you have all of your apps here as well, and they're available over here as well. So that's really the biggest difference between the two logins, other than this user doesn't have admin logins. So we don't have an admin tile here on either side. So that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, and I think that's the document that Tim and I created in the first vid.
Sure. So, yep, you'll have, I find that most of our users don't log in here. They just use the Office apps as they normally would.
Desktop apps.
Yep, exactly. So you do have the recent, pinned, and shared items here, but again, most of our users don't know this exists because when we work with them, we install their Office apps, and they go on with their day.
Yeah, and guess what? This is all stuff I tell people, this is where I play. This is not where you play.
Yep, exactly.
But what's exciting about the Teams thing with Tim is that it almost makes me want to get into online only just to learn all the nuances of it. And I'll be honest, it's hard for me as an old school Windows, old days desktop user to shift to online. And I've always admitted that I'm fearful of OneDrive. I'm fearful of a lot of things and change, but I'm very familiar with it, troubleshoot it. But for me to go all cloud, oh boy.
Yeah, I know for some of our users, we're looking at, possibly removing actual on-site file servers and going with SharePoint and OneDrive, but it's a process to get there.
Yeah. I would never dump an entire server into SharePoint and then cut it off right away.
Yeah. The biggest thing for us is we still want the Active Directory
Right.
on the servers. So.
But that's going to be in another video, I think, called Azure.
Yeah.
It's happening. All right. Let's see what else is next.
Those are most of the basics that I wanted to cover as far as basic user setup. So if a user wants to change their password, they would log in to portal.office.com. They would see this, and if they clicked on the settings icon, they can go to password and then change their password there. That's pretty important.
Yeah. Actually, there's some more app settings I hit on down below. Go back to where that was. And down in the mail, your app settings. There you go. I do a lot of work in here with the clients, actually, over on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the time when they get phished, the first place I look is that, this will be in the security video, but the forwarding, that's huge. That's where those spammers go in and they go and hit that start forwarding, and then they put their Gmail in there, and then they have keep a copy. So you don't even know it's happening.
Yep.
That's a horrible feature.
Yeah. Yeah, like we have a client that we helped out and they wanted to move away from a different server, so we just left that unchecked, and that mail doesn't even hit the other box. It just comes into their new account.
Yeah, actually that should be a verification text thing in my opinion to keep that secured, because I've found a lot of people getting phished that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Anyway, there's just other settings on the left. We'll cover that later because it's a whole hour job with those alone. But there we go.
All of these apps here, they're also web apps. So, for example, we were just in Outlook, but you can open Word, and it's just Word on the web.
Yeah.
Just like anything else. And then if so we'll close that, and if you have a document, you can open it either in the web app, or you can open it in Word locally as well. So you have both options. So that's good to know.
Yep.
That's pretty much it as far as basic user setup.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into back to the other page where all the fun stuff
Back
is.
to the admin account.
Yeah. While he's doing that, this thing will change on you all the time. And, if you use Chrome, you're always going to be logging in and be logged into another person's account. Always check what account you're in. And this is a common problem with all techs who manage many accounts in a Chrome. You're going to be in one and you're doing something. Next thing you know, you're in another account.
Yep. So, yeah, one thing I've learned to do is always look at the name in the top right to see which account you're logged into.
I'm always looking because now they all name it the same too.
Yep. Yes. Yep. You want to look at the actual email address that's signed in there.
All right. All right. What was next? User setup.
Yep. So we went through that. You just click add a user. Real basic. Display name, username, all of that contact information. So, for example, owner.
Yeah, skip all that.
Yeah. And so if you do an admin, you typically don't want to assign a license to that because there's no reason to. So you would select this bottom option here.
Yeah.
But you have to select one or the other. So with AppRiver, you can actually select Business Premium, and then it will add a license to your account there as well. But typically we do that through the AppRiver portal as well. So we're not actually going to add this user because we don't need to.
There's one last thing. I just tell folks a little tip about the password thing. Go ahead and click that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the password there, auto-generated, let me make them change their password. I always uncheck that because that just adds a snag while you're setting up. And yeah, you can, every company has their own, like, how you want to set up the passwords. But I always just pick the generated ones, make it easy.
Yep. So what I'll do is I'll do the auto-generated, and then if you finish this, it'll prompt you if you want who you want to email that information to. So I'll usually send it to myself. I'll have it so I can set up their Outlook when I'm done. And then what I'll do is while I'm connected to their machine or working with them, I'll have them sign into the portal and then change their password.
Right. Oh yeah. All right. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Okay. What was next? All right. Display name, roles, product license. All right. Do you got anything left on your list?
That's it for me.
All right. Well, let me take control of yours for a sec. I want to just cover a couple more things.
Okay.
I'll just request control here.
All right.
So we're going to be trying to cover everything in here in the next few courses, guys. And we're going to hit on this down here. And this is where, come on, this is where a lot of stuff is. Okay. So here's what I recommend everybody's their homework after this class is log in. And if you don't have an Office 365 account yet set up, you can set up a trial. And the thing is, it's 30 days. You don't have to pay, but at least you can get in here and play with the portal and, just get used to it and see where things are. I try to tell people to hit every single thing and go through everything underneath. Get to know it. Because even if you've been managing on-prem Exchange for many, many years, it's a little different here in the online, okay? Here's all your resources, all your stuff. I go into this a lot, the Exchange and security and compliance. And this is like next level Azure, which I hope I'm saying that right, and then SharePoint. But that's SharePoint, the administrative level, not the SharePoint site. And I'm just going to give you a quick peek here. This thing has got some robustness in that engine.
Yeah.
Hey, it's kind of scary in here. There's a lot of stuff, and boy, I could spend hours in here. And you just keep going through all this, and you're going to find out what you don't know about SharePoint.
While we're in here, one thing I want to point out, that top URL there, the Office 365 courses.sharepoint.com in the list in the middle of the page. So your SharePoint URL is created based on your tenant account. So if you go back to the other page there, yep, and then go to Setup, and then Domains. So your SharePoint is based on that bottom one there that's auto-created. So with AppRiver, you have the ability to set that. So I try to set it as close to the company's domain as possible so it makes sense to them, because the randomly generated one is just that. It's just random and it doesn't mean anything. So
yeah. You should see my SharePoint for my original one. It's on the old, it's really old.
Yeah.
It's on the old.
Sure.
All right, so you're going to want to play around, and this Exchange has just a lot of stuff also, and I just recommend that you go ahead and play around and get to know the settings, and we're going to cover these later. Chad's going to be covering this more in depth and, set up for this, and, I mean, this is, again, a lot of stuff, and each one of these has lots of stuff, and there's a lot of it. Yeah, and if you're doing, a migration for, let's say on-prem to 365, a lot of this you probably are going to need to know, especially with your folders and public folders and retention and policies and things I don't really deal with.
If you have to set manual options based on your environment, if you use Migration List, which we'll cover later, a lot of that will come over for you. It's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I try to stay in this stuff down here.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with all this, and let me just close a few things here, folks, is that when you take a call for Office 365 and you're listening to the client and you're like, that sounds like it's not a job I can do, always remember you've got referral partners here in the courses.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've been doing, and I have different levels for different people. Adam can't take on the large, huge $1,000 or 1,000 mailbox migrations.
Yep.
And Chad doesn't want to do the ones that Adam does. So we got a good synergy here, and I'm like, I come in at the beginning and the end, and so it's a little good team partnership, and we'll get Tim in there, of course, too, and some other folks. But just remember, every sale is a yes, in my opinion.
Yep.
We'll find you somebody, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's never a no, I can't help you. And if you're not sure, you should always say, let me talk to my team.
Yep.
We're not employees, but we're a team here
Absolutely.
at the courses. So, all right. Anyway, let's get back to this thing. I don't think I have too much else more for this. I don't go into reports much, but you can go find out some juicy information about some things I've looked in here before.
Yeah, usage is nice, especially if you got an account that's been in use for a while and you get some good details there.
Yeah, I think it was in security, but then again, it's down here again too, and I don't know. So that's kind of the basic setup of the admin center, and we'll go more in depth in each one with other folks, and I think that might be it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's it for now. Just a basic overview. This is what it looks like and how to get started.
All right, gang. So remember, your homework is to go and play with all the pretty boxes, and then at the end there, because you signed up, I'm going to give you my ebook for free. It's only going to be on the page on the courses here at the bottom. You'll see it there, and it's a book I wrote a few years ago. I bet Adam bought it.
Yep.
Yep. And it's basically how to do Microsoft Exchange migrations manually. It's 24 pages, but
Yep.
it might be old, but it still works. And I still think it's very important, even though you're using other tools, to still know everything manually.
What it does is it gives you the foundation.
Yeah, I teach you how to export. I teach you how to import correctly. I teach all those little nuggets that you're like, oh, I didn't know, because tools don't teach you those things, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's just it. You should definitely know how to do the process manually before you go and jump in to do a tool, because when that tool breaks or something's missing or something happens, you need to know how to go fix it.
Yeah. My favorite is, oh, they had filters applied on IMAP and it didn't come down.
Yeah.
We cover it.
Yep. That's such a
fix
pain.
everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I love it. I love when people get a migration done. They're like, there's no emails in the folders. Well, I can fix that. Give me a minute, and then I'm a magician.
Yeah.
I'm magic. All right, gang. So we're gonna close up here. Thank you to our sponsors, AppRiver, and be sure to make sure you check out Adam's video coming up here with Migration Wiz. Migration Wiz is also a sponsor. They're giving away 3 free licenses, so you can beta test and maybe do your own migration and use the tool. And Adam will walk you through it, how to it, step by step it.
Yep.
And I think that might be it here. There's always notes at the bottom of each course. All right, you guys, I will see you. Hold on. We got the screen up here, Sharon, still. I got to get out of there. I want to close it. I can't close my window. Oops.
You want me to
All
stop
right.
to share?
That's okay, you guys. I'm going to close out. We got a little tech glitch here, but I'll see you next course. Thanks.